Doors are locked, my keys are lost, I'm reeking of beer. Well, I'm not fussed, no, I've had a good night. The cheap drinks, the good friends, the bright lights. I've been out here living my nightlife. The whole time you haven't crossed my mind. And my friends said you weren't the right type. And you made it pretty clear that right. Tomorrow's headspins be alright. Cause I'm starting a new chapter. I've had enough, yeah, been enough. Yeah, I've had enough, yeah, been enough. Yeah, I've had you, I've had enough, yeah, been enough. Yeah, I've had enough, yeah, been enough. Yeah.
Welcome back to the fields here in Győr, Hungary. We are bringing you action from the women's bronze medal matchup between Russia and Italy. This women's division, Benji, has been so hotly contested all the way through the tournament. I'm Hannah Pendlebury with Benji Rees here in the booth this fine afternoon.
It's what I'd describe as topsy-turvy. I think everyone had an idea of how the bracket would play out, and the bracket has not played out like that at all. I mean, some people saw Switzerland in the finals, some people saw Ireland in the finals. I don't think anyone saw Switzerland and Ireland in the finals. Everyone thought Germany would be in the semi-finals. They didn't make it. We just saw them win their 5-6 place game against a France side that knocked out Finland in the lower brackets as well. A Finnish side that, again, quite a few people thought would be in the final, that would be high up. Belgium women got knocked out of the semi-finals. It's just, everything's been up and down in the women's division. It's been just, it's like...
It's been mad.
The parity is amazing. It's like, it's been easily the most up and down division, and I think for that reason it's been maybe the most fun division to cover all week.
Well, I mean, I'm a little bit biased. Women's division is my particular fave. If I had to pick one, I mean, it's like picking a favorite child, really, because it's all hot ultimate here in the now cool stages, actually, of this this tournament. It's been a wee bit windier today, which has helped players keep cool in the heat here. The temperature earlier at the beginning of the last match was still 30 degrees Celsius, as we now are at nearly 6 p.m. local time. Of course, those who have already finished their match are fleeing the fields to get ready for the party this evening. But looking at the Russian roster there in front of us, we have a couple of big names we saw in the semi-final matchup. Look out for Liza Tizik, the number 91, and of course Olga Kochenova, number 23. Those two connected, I think, about 8 or 9 times in the semi-final as they tried to steal the final berth away from Ireland. In terms of the Italian roster, who should we be looking out for, Benji?
I think the important thing to note is the absences from this side. Laura Ferolfi had an ankle injury earlier today. She's on crutches at the moment, so she's not going to be suiting up for this game. Frangipani got an injury earlier in the week. They suspect it's an ACL tear. She's not going to be playing. Boroni and Nicetto both got injured at Windmill. They're not playing this game. So this Italy side has suffered a fair few knocks as they jump up and down in their, well, mostly jump up and down in their little huddle. Actually, to their credit, even the injured players are giving it a good go. They won't be playing in the game as the wise thing to do, but even though they've still got some standout players, the Scazzieri sisters are certainly names to take notice of, and number 31 as well, Anna Ceschi, is having a big year for the Italians.
Oh, Ceschi is. I'm lucky enough to be connected to Ceschi on WhatsApp at the moment, and I sent her 2 gifts yesterday evening after what could only be a... You're bumping me because I said GIF and not GIF, aren't you?
Yeah, of course I am.
It's open to interpretation, I'd say. There's, you know, it's a hotly debated topic, the pronunciation of that 3-letter acronym. But either way, just an absolute hero bid to keep their game alive and avoid the Callahan from Germany, who they knocked out in that quarter-final matchup. Definitely go back and watch that game if you haven't already. Obviously, the placement showing the result of that match already, but there's so much to be taken away from both sides. In terms of having a chat to the coaches ahead of this match, it really is all about the psychology, both having missed out on that medal match tomorrow in the early afternoon here in Győr. But of course, if I had to pick a side who I think might have the psychology to bring it back, I'm going to favour Italy, Benji, in terms of being able to gun for this one. Just want it that little bit more. But of course, Russia with an amazing coaching system. Dima on the far sideline at the moment, sort of just, what's the word? Guiding his team in this final match of the championship.
Obviously, this isn't the match you wanted to be, and you always come to play in the finals. But there's a line of thinking that the worst position to come in is fourth, because it means you got so close, but yet still came away empty-handed. And in many ways, bronze medal is the best medal to win, because A, you get a medal, and B, you can then wear that medal at the party, because you don't have to worry about finals tomorrow. So in a way, it's the best champion to be.
Well, the bestest champion is when you get in the Masters division and there's a shorter field, so you do also get to have your gold medal match on the pre-finals day. But Italy get underway. Ceschi on the disc, the player we've already mentioned for this Italian outfit. She connects with Scazieri, number 1, the 18 shirt. Look out for her sister, as we already mentioned, on 19 with the 19 on her back. Good connection upfield. Vandelli surveys the option, puts up a big shot. That's going to be snaffled out the sky by the number 18, Irene Scazieri.
Nice start there for the Italians. A very clean hold. They, I think they suffered a bit in that semi-final we streamed against Switzerland earlier today. They had a huge emotional high after that comeback win against Germany, and then when their talisman Ferolfi got injured earlier in the game, I think they just got so flat and they could never really recover from that. So we'll see if they can pick up their heads and put one last final push to come home with a medal.
Well, speaking to their coach beforehand, she did say that she reckoned that the Swiss sort of just outmatched Italy earlier on today. They played a little bit better, so that's why they need to kind of just put their heads together and really come out strong. So they have done a clean offensive hold to get us underway in this bronze match.
I must say, I'm very much enjoying the slightly cooler temperatures this evening. When we actually streamed that game, this was the heat of the day, sun scorching down. I put my water bottle to the side, and then 15 minutes later picked up to have a drink, and it was the warmest water I felt all weekend, even warmer than the showers I've had, because I've been having to have cold showers because it's so hot. It's beggared belief how hot it was earlier today.
Indeed, we did reach the high point earlier on in the tournament. I think it reached a scorching 38 degrees Celsius here in the midsummer of Hungary, as we see a nice reception. Malikova keeping it alive, far sideline, being squeezed down. Tizik, furious fakes. Oh, and look at that release. That's an absolute golden throw into the space. First point on the board for Russia.
A golden throw from the golden girl, Elisa Tizik, going to be playing again with the Eurostars this summer after she was out there on the first edition of that tour. She's known quite a lot as a receiver. She had that sensational true gold medal grab in the beach final in the women's division back in Portimao a couple of months ago, and showing that she's more than capable with a disc in her hand. A delicious inside break for the goal.
And hopefully, Benji, in this final match for Tizik, we will keep a little better grasp of the goings-on, so we'll be able to get some excitement in the late stages. But that's a really nice reaching grab for the Russian side.
Number 31, Galina Bolicheva with the goal there. Nice chasing that one down, and obviously one of the advantages of when you're quicker across the grounds, it means you don't have to necessarily make these big layout plays because you've just got the speed to chase it down normally.
Well, great athleticism from Bolicheva. And so Italy, another opportunity for their O-line to come out and play here on this, as you say, Benji, much cooler rubber crunch surface than pretty much any other time. This game slot starting at 6 o'clock in the evening, whereas all the previous days have had the last round 45 minutes earlier, where it's much warmer, and plenty of cloud coverage here as the wind has dropped. Kalezi directing traffic upfield. She's going to put a high blade up for our sideline. Oh, and it's misread by everyone but Scazieri.
Scazzieri popping in to Cecilia Scagliarini for the goal. Just the defender just got suckered in underneath. Scazzieri did the right thing, trusted her read, tracked it well, and then popped it in for the goal. The Italians initiating out of a side stack there, set up on the far side of the field, trying to get isolation in the centre. Didn't really find anything going on, so they had to reset it around the back a little bit and play from there. And that's the right thing to do. If you draw up a pool play, you don't see the look you want, just make sure you can reset and get playing in flow in your normal offence. Just seeing again, two defenders get sucked underneath. Scazzieri makes the right read and just pops to Scagliarini for the goal.
Yeah, Scagliarini there. Great little work between those two players. Italians coming out very fiery on their offense, throwing high risk, high rewards. You see Farolfi there on the far sideline.
He was covering that game earlier with Joe Hamer, and just against his own, she was just coming upfield, and I think her cleat just got stuck in the turf, her ankle twisted. You can see that tuber grip giving it a little bit of protection there. Let out a rather devastating scream. Do hope that that's not too serious.
Oh, and after a big defensive effort, a nice lofty backhand put. Separation, yards free, Eliza Tizik.
I think Eliza Tizik in the first 2 points of the game has showed you why she deserves to be a Euro star. Some delicious throwing and then a devastating deep cut, catching the goal. I think it's out of the hand of Anastasia Malikova on the throwing side. It was a beautiful deep put, right in stride. Never had to break speed at all. You cannot throw it any better than that, Hannah.
No, you can't, Anastasia Malikova showing prudent form early stages of this match. Just trading at the moment. And we've seen clean holds across the board. So we talked about the psychology of this game being oh so very important after, of course, the loss of Rodolfi for the Italian side and the loss of obviously a final berth for the Russians, who really, none of us on the media side had particularly favoured coming into this bronze medal match.
I think both of the another year, maybe the game's played out differently. This could easily be the final. I think actually it was Gochanova with the deep put must have misattributed that. I apologise, my eyes are deceiving me this late in the day.
Well, if it was the number 23 Gochanova, then I'm not surprised. As I say, those two connected about 8 or 9 times during the semi-final. Pick call on the play as the disc is in the hands of Scagliarini.
I don't know when this pick occurred, but Scagliarini seems to be quite far offset from everyone else, so I don't think this will affect that completion. You can see there number 29, Kate Dubodelova on the mark.
Indeed, Katya there, the Belarusian player. Great defender, but that cannot be denied. Chesky with the score.
Chesky getting her first stat of the game, and almost certainly not the last. She's a player who has been a defensive standout. She was Ultra-World's runner-up in the Defensive Player of the Year for the women's division in Europe last year, and her game has grown so much. She's bared a lot of the weight for this Italian side, was monumental in their comeback against the Germans in the quarterfinals. They couldn't have done it without her help.
They certainly couldn't, Benji. And in terms of leadership as well, Chesky playing for the KUSP Shout team, and D-line captain, as we have another look at that saucy put, just out into the space in front of the defender. Couldn't really have asked for more from the hand of Scagliarini. And
Chesky's going to be playing in the US, moving to Duke later moving to North Carolina later this year to play at Duke University. He's going to be playing with the elite women's clubs team out of Carolina, Rally's Phoenix. Very excited to see her tear it up on the US stage.
I believe they prefer the pronunciation Duke over in the North American side of things. But certainly exciting to see how she'll return, having picked up some extra skills from the talent across the pond. Gubanova with the disc. Another player that's really come through fairly recently to prominence for this Russian women's side, benefiting massively from the transition from some of the bigger household name Russians across to the mixed division.
Yeah, this Russian women's side maybe doesn't have some of the more familiar names, but that doesn't mean they're any less capable. They're going to be names that we all know and cherish later on.
And a nice little jump into the end zone from Kochanova as she catches the goal, leveling us back. We're remaining on serve with clean holds. Not a single messy point really on this field, Benji, apart from maybe that blade from the Italians that was just a bit of a risky biscuit.
Very, very clean so far. 10 minutes gone, 6 points already on the board. Maybe teams struggling to fire themselves up defensively. Obviously, it's the end of a long week here in Dieu. There's a little bit of more wear and tear in the legs. You can't quite find that extra burst that you had, especially at the end of a long week. You see here the swing goes to Polina Gubanova, and beautiful roll, curving backhand right in stride, jumping into the end zone, catching with that right hand. Kochanova going to be calling her name a lot this game, Hannah. Goal and assist already, I believe.
Indeed, we're keeping up with our stats here in the booth. Pulling a wee bit of double duty. Looking forward, Benji, I don't know about you, to having our stats person giving us all the factage in the finals here. Tomorrow we'll be bringing you all 3 finals, starting off with men's in the morning, transitioning to women's, and then, of course, the spectacle that is the mixed final. That'll be broadcast on the Olympic channel, as well as all the usual places. And also available free on YouTube. The other ones you'll have to get your fancy subscription for, as we see Bonfante in the center of the field, faking wildly to the backhand, but popping it across to Pancotti. Stacked very deep, far away from the handlers. And see, it just unable to be reeled in by either Bonfante or Sorrenti. Miscommunication in our first turn of the game. Selimova up to Vinogradova. Around. Oh, nearly a run through D. Italians getting fired up now. Basukova. Great use of the break side once more from the Russian unit.
Here, loud shout on the sideline of Stack from Coach Dima.
Oh, and that's a lovely little piece of offense. Look at the release there from Solimova to set that one up. A break of score. First blood goes to Russia.
Latusheva finding Vinogradova in the end zone for the first break of the game. The throw that turned over was the right decision. Caught the dump defender face marking, thinking if I can get this up early into space, I can let the receiver chase it down. The defender's going to be on the wrong side, is going to see it late, but just put a little too much on it, floated too far out in front, and ruthless efficiency from the Russian D-line, just marching it down the field for the break. Latusheva to Vinogradova for the first blood for the Russians. Have a look at it again on the replay. See how she pivots around and low and really leans into that flick, and just that devastating break gave easy continuation. Kochanova was there, but Vinogradova is the one who collects the goal. I am delighted to say that the German women have given us a little present of some sweeties. I know, obviously we don't have favorites. We would never have favorites, but that is a welcome gift, much appreciated. I think we probably owe them a beer at the party later.
Oh yeah, and definitely some dancing. We're going to have to do some dancing later on with all of the teams here in the divisions. Do not miss that party. It's going to be an absolute blinder here with, of course, might be missing some of the exciting teams and stay for the finalists, but everyone else is ready to get underway, celebrating all of the amazing things that have happened at this tournament.
We've actually, me and Liam struck a deal earlier on before the GB Russia game. Mikhail Biff Khudobin does a bit of Russian dancing, and we said if he scored, we'll buy him a beer if he did a Russian dance. He duly did so, and we have repaid him with a beer from the mysterious Ulti-League van. he was most welcome for it, and to be fair, he very much earned it.
So I believe we need to update our score on the screens for you. It's currently 4-3 to the Russians. They lead by that one break. See if we can get that one refreshed. Excellent stuff from our Alti TV crew here. These sweeties, of course, are not just for the talent here in the booth, as we're allegedly known, but that's a great play. Dialed in. Chesky, for some reason, not able to go quite as aggressively as we normally see her. And in comes Valentina Simonova.
Just backpedal a little bit, maybe thinking she had more time than she did. Maybe she was just waiting to burst forward, but she realized that she'd given up the position, and rather than go forward and make contact, she just has to give it up. And Simonova now with the disc, trying to get another break for Russia.
Yeah, it's a great idea. Really, at this stage in the tournament, you do not want to pick up any kind of season-altering injury, especially knowing that some of your teammates have fallen foul to injuries, which has been a season-long problem, really, for Italy.
They have suffered rotten luck on the injury front this season.
Yes, they have. So sometimes you just have to know that you've been had. And Russia now looking very threatening. Nice, good high release from Kochanova. That's Anastasia there.
Anastasia in the 21 and Olga not on the field at the moment, but she's in the 23 jersey.
Nice to see both sisters getting involved on the field here. Babayeva looks around, sporting an absolutely phenomenal power plant hairstyle. No idea how she manages to achieve that, but that's an absolute dish into the space. But what a play, there we go, making up for her earlier error. Chesky with the grab.
Yeah, that time Salimova just waited a little bit too much, and it's Chesky attacking the disc and getting the turn.
And so now Italian O-line back with the disc in hand. Call on the field. Looked like Chesky with her arms up, causing confusion here on this field 2 pitch.
Yeah, maybe was going to call a pick, but obviously on offense you can't do that. So maybe just thinking, look, I'm open, get it over here, or switch the play to the other side of the field, and the Italians taking a timeout here. This is the first point of the game with more than one turnover in it. Been very clean up until this point, but 2 good defensive plays, earning the disc for both sides, and with the Italian offense looking a little bit messy. I think taking a timeout here, one of your 2 you have per half, is not a terrible idea, Hannah.
It was still fairly early stages in this first half. The score currently 4-3 to the Russians, who come out in dominant form though. Although good to see Anna Chesky there making up for her error from previously.
Yeah, she's a player who's always going to try and make amends for any errors she makes, and those errors are generally few and far between, it has to be said.
So our big boss man, Mike Palmer, trying to electrify this match. The little mosquito zapper behind us.
I must admit, I'm a little bit skeptical as to how well this mosquito zapper works. Exactly, he was definitely trying to get me to break cover there, to corpse a little bit, but I'm too hard for that, Mike. You can't take me down.
So to give you a bit of insight as to the goings-on with the Alti TV crew and us commentators, so we have an interesting way of dealing with mosquito bites. We have a little zapper that sends a little electric current through you, and allegedly means that it helps you recover from mosquito bites.
We're okay with this. I must say that Rob Henderson, who's on camera 1 at the moment, has not had so much luck. He's been bitten to shreds. I've never seen a man with so many bites over a week. Like, Felix, can you get a really close zoom in on Rob's legs, because like his legs are they are covered in little mosquito bites.
Well, yeah, you can just make them out there on your screen. And there we go. See Mike applying the little bit of electrification there as we focus back in on this hotly contested bronze medal match.
If you ever do see the camera shake a little bit, it's probably someone just trying to get rid of some of those bites. Maybe a little jitter on the zap.
Just a little zap. Some people are into that though.
I mean, not necessarily my cup of tea, but then tea isn't my cup of tea either, so what do I know?
Exactly, Benji. As I say, don't yuck someone else's yum, as we see Russians getting a pressure turnover on that far sideline.
Yeah, the curse of the turnout strikes again. They had a look that they wanted, but the force was good, and it meant that backhand throw leading the receiver into space was too far out in front, and now Russia can add another break to the one they've already got in this game.
And so the number 48 Such a great defensive presence for the Russian side. And oh my goodness, a hero grab going to the ground, Babaeva, with that jazzy hairstyle. Fabulous moves from her. Give go. It's that far sideline. Russians are making such great use of this around backhand space. Their breaks are just undeniable.
The Italian forces don't really, they seem to be invisible almost to the Russian throwers, breaking it at will.
And using the legs to get under them as well. Babaeva around to Sulimova. No stranger to not quite making the top bracket. We'll talk a little bit more about her strategy for getting over those losses at the club scene. Last Russian nationals. Nice pop off to Babaeva, giving right back. I love that move to the Russians. Opens up the backhand, sneaky in the far side of the end zone. Great footwork from the Russian for another break. That's 3 points on the trot for Russia, and they look cool and calm.
The around backhand is just devastating the Italians at the moment. They don't seem to have an answer for it. Sulimova with an absolutely just wicked, sinister throw, right the way round. Fantastically towed in as well by Valentina Simonova. She didn't have to. It's very easy just to lose kind of your field presence and awareness and just go for a normal catch and make it out of bounds. But Simonova made sure that she got that back foot inbounds, attacking the disc, but still towing the line, very clearly getting that left foot down first. Good spirit by the Italian sideline as well, instantly calling it inbounds. Good spirit to see. You were talking about Salimova's tactics for recovering from bracket play losses, Hannah. I assume you've done a little bit of digging. What have you got for me?
Maybe. I've been digging in the Ned Goldmine Garvey pit.
Is Goldmine his new nickname? Should we just not tell him this and everyone start calling him it?
Oh, I don't know. He's pretty good for his Russian knowledge, being able to communicate with them in their native tongue. Not the well, it's this thing, Benji. We've had this expectation over a little while that the Russian unit maybe aren't the most fun team. The language barrier really does get in the way, as the sort of, the lack of being able to just, have those chats on the sideline, get those friendships engaged. But they're actually a really, really fun team. And they're not actually as serious as you think. There are a couple, but Sulimova is a goofy player, and when her team were knocked out of the top bracket of Russian nationals, they decided to stay up late before the final day of games and have a little campside, a fireside party by the river.
That's my kind of party. I can get on board with that. And when you think about the idea of this Russians being very stern and very concrete and resolute, kind of a bit like that kind of traditional concrete brutalist architecture. You look at players like Eliza Tizik doing a great job of changing that stereotype of Russians, always plays with a smile on her face, for example. That's one of the reasons, along with her very good English, why she's a very good spirit captain for the Russians.
Oh, and that's a huge backhand rip out of the arm of Anna Chesky for the score. Great connection there for the Italian O-line. They hold to bring it back within 1, 4-5, trailing 2 breaks to Russia.
Vanessa Bazzassi collecting the goal on what was a sensational around break from Anna Chesky, adding an assist to the goal she got earlier in this game. Clearly they've seen Russia have a lot of love with that outside in around backhand and thinking, actually, that looks like fun. We should give this a go. And when you can give it a go like Chesky does, I'd be going back to that well. I think there's probably a lot more oil there, I'd say.
Yeah, great movement from Chesky. You can see there where she's just turned and sort of left her defender behind for that rolling, fading backhand around.
With the release as well, she's not just pivoting sideways. Because they're just going to the break side, she's getting it with a bit of space. She's pivoting forward as well, so she's generating more forward momentum with that throw.
Quality stuff from an experienced and talented player.
Thank you. Oh, I thought you meant Hannah. Sorry. I mean, yeah, her too, obviously.
Of the many words I'd use to describe you, Benji, I'm not sure player would be one of them.
Well, I mean, not on the field, certainly, but...
Well, this is the women's division. It would be against the rules to have you out on the field here in this women's bronze medal matchup. As we see many of the players check out the face paint looks. of the various Russian players. That's one of the ways that they've been chilling out after their disappointment at not making the final match tomorrow.
I've definitely seen a pair of cat whiskers on the field.
Bit of swagger for the Russians. Oh, and the hand reaches the disc, but just can't close the fingers around it. Tails into the turf in front of Gubanova.
I think she was thinking about making a layout and then decided that actually she was able to chase it down, but a little off balance and couldn't quite pour that one in.
Oh, so close to the run through D. Daria there. Daria Salnikova, the 39 shirt. Russia ran very short lines during their semi-finals. Nice to see them spread the love a little bit more in this matchup.
Maybe they're thinking perhaps that's one of the reasons why the Irish beat them, just ran out of legs late in that game.
Well, they did play some smart zone, but that's a great reception again from Anna Chesky. And that's a break back for Italy. They level it up at 5 apiece.
Anna Chesky is having herself a hell of a tournament, it has to be said. And I don't really think that's a surprise for anyone now. She's a name that is going to garner so much more respect now. And she's going to be one of the top players in Europe for many years to come. That is, of course, if the USA doesn't poach her. And hopefully she comes back across this side of the Atlantic Ocean after her stay out there.
Well, I think when you play with a big club team in the unit, obviously many of these Italian players coming out of the Bologna scene. As
it's Alba Calezzi putting that throw deep into the arms of Chesky. And yeah, you talk about Bologna, obviously CUSB, the major club team there. Shout, the top women's team from Bologna, were European champions last year. A lot of Italian players on that side. They had some international flavour as well. Players like Annika Wolfsteiner from Austria, Germany's Anna Gerner. They had a couple of Yaka players. Yaka didn't play the EUCS last year, so players like Rodriguez and Mondio crossed over to play with Shout. But so interesting to see on the club side how much of that roster churns over.
Well, that was one of the reasons why many didn't favour the Italian women coming into this tournament. They said that they'd do okay but wouldn't go deep into the bracket due to the fact that their performance with CUSB Shout was bolstered by those very talented pickups. We just saw Rodriguez and Mondio on this field previously in the 5-6 game. They did get rather smothered by the Germans. As we see a big shot going up into huge separation from Tizik. It sits and it hangs, but what a great play. Just patiently sits under it, knows she has the perfect position and goes out. That's very pretty indeed.
That's key because Tizik isn't a big receiver physically necessarily, but she reads the disc really well. She could see she got on it early, got into position, and then waited. She wasn't directly under the disc. She gave herself a little bit of space. So A, she could keep the defender on her back, and B, rather than going straight upwards, she's going forward, getting a bit more, creating a little buffer to really go and attack the disc rather than trying to get it directly above your head, which could be a little bit more difficult.
So after starting this game on defense, the Russians currently still up that one break, leading the charge here. If they can hold this lead into the second half, of course, they'll get to come out on offense. Bit of a, perhaps not the most effective throw, but this is the difference really, I think, for this Russian women's side, is that even though they might be missing some of the big household names, and they're seeing some younger players coming through their roster, it's the fact that you still have targets like Tizik to really rely on, who can say, it's like having really good receivers if you're not necessarily the most capable thrower when you first start playing. It's the fact that you've got people who can scoop stuff up and maybe get you a little bit out of some sticky situations. So the Italians grinding it out for the undercut. Calezzi can't collect that one. And the throw out to the space gives Russia a golden opportunity to take it 1 point shy of half time here.
I love the socks that Basukova is rocking. Abraham Lincoln on the right leg. Looks like JFK on the left.
Yeah,
wonder what that's all about.
Well, that one might remain a mystery to us unless we get any information from the fans. If you do want to get in touch, I'm at Discal31 and Benji is at Benjamin Rees. both on Twitter and Instagram.
Nice that one of us has a sensible handle. Actually, my Insta is at Benji Reese, Benji with a Y. Benjamin Reese was already taken. Damn them.
Well, I can't have Henna Pendlebury because that's a Cardiff-based track and field athlete. Pick downfield's going to probably bring that play back. Going to still have to be caught, which it is.
Yeah, nice. Just making sure that there's no way they can get a cheap turnover out of that one. Kate Dubadelova just towing the line on that far sideline just to make sure that she's in bounds. Pick definitely happened quite a while ago, though.
Yeah, a lot of the players on the field had full-on stop there. Good to see, though, as you say. Such discipline from these Russian sides kept. Even though the players might have a lot of fun and be goofy at times, Coach Dima is a traditional Russian man, shall we say.
Yeah, he works the Russian women hard, and sometimes that can be a uniting force in a way. Sometimes it's nice just to have someone to have a little bit of a vent about.
Oh, and there's a huge play from Anna Cheshki coming in big, using her stature and snatching the disc out of the waiting arms of Solimova. Slightly hasty throwing from the Italians, just managing to keep control of it, and that's a huge run-through block. Off to the races goes Katya Dubodelova. No. Okay, Dubodelova.
Bang, got it.
It's still not right, but the Belarusian getting big. Garvey warned me I'd be saying that name plenty of times. I know you have to say it flat and fast with none of the emphasis really on any of the elements. Dubodelova.
Dubodelova.
Dubodelova, there you go.
I will put that in the memory bank. Thank you, Hannah.
Great to see her coming up. Katya, the Belarusian. The only non-Russian player on this side. As we again see the Russians exposing the backhand space. It is person coverage. A little bit loose, some switching between the players, and that's an absolute rocket. Oh, and so well defended. I thought for a moment that Vinogradova might have a second look at that. But great play from Italy. I think that's Kelezi getting up in the mixer there.
Don't be confused by the fact her first name's Alba. She is Italian and not Scottish.
Referring to the men's club side, Alba, are you there, Benj?
Yeah, Alba is an. I think I can't remember which language it is. I think it's Old Scots, but is the traditional name for Scotland.
And once again, the Italians misfiring a little bit too much heat as we cool off at the very end of all but finals here in Győr, Hungary. Dubodelova putting it out into the space. The sock game of Barsukova, very strong, and so's the high release, but that's a little bit errant. Chesky collecting, really dominating in this point.
Showing why she earned that runner-up nomination for Ultiworld's Female Defensive European Player of the Year. She's got a couple of fantastic skies to earn the disc back for the Italians.
Do you know who she might have been pipped to the post by?
Maya Milek, I believe. A player known for big blocks as well as shut-down defense.
Well, maybe we'll have to see at some point if we can get a matchup of those two on the same field as the Italians very, very close to the goal line. Sorrenti popping it nicely to Kelezi. Oh, and an errant pass. Chesky can't get a pause around it. Frustration on the number 31.
Sets such high standards for herself, and when you're a player the quality of Chesky, why wouldn't you?
Vinogradova there taking a little break, and a timeout call from Russia as they lead 5-6 in this women's bronze medal match.
Yeah, they were far ahead of the play, and no one else was catching up that quickly. Everyone looked a little bit gassed, so good move to take the timeout here. Something I want to talk about with these two sides is the idea of a culture of winning. Now, obviously, they're not going to come home with gold this week, but a lot of these players have taken home medals at events in the past. We looked at the Russian women winning WCBU a couple of years ago in Royan in France, and just most recently at EUC, they took home gold in the mixed and women's divisions. You think about EUC as well, the Russian team in the final there. Cosmic Girls, the Russian men's team took home bronze, took home gold medals, Rio 5. There were 2 mixed sides in the semis, silver medalist Midnight Cobras and Russo Toristo as well.
All right, Benji, we get it. You know your ultimate, and they're so decorated.
Well, the point I'm making here is when there's a thing about when it gets down to bracket play, you know how to win. You know the standards you need to set. You know how to close out games. Something that we saw the Germans fail to do against the Italians. You know how to make those comebacks. You know exactly what you need to do in terms of preparation. It's one of those things where a lot of the time when you see new teams get up into that upper echelon, they can falter a little bit against teams that they maybe have the better of because they just don't have that mental strength. They don't know how to finally put their 100% performance onto the field. I think that's something that maybe the Irishmen struggled with this week. And they, at their best, they were fantastic, but in some of the big games, they went off the boil a little bit. And both of these sides, they know how to win. Obviously, we talked about the Russians, and then we mentioned the Italians doing very well on the youth level, quite a lot as well. We look at, obviously, CUSP Shout taking home gold at EUCF. So when you know how to win, that means that when you get into these brackets, these games are so much tighter because everyone's really playing their best ultimate.
Well, it seems that the Russians have come out with better psychology here in the bronze medal match, at least for now. Ain't over yet. Currently leading by just that 1 extra break, putting them in the driving seat at the moment for the scoreline. As we see Kotchenova on the disc, it's Anastasia, back to Sulimova. Nice play upfield. A little bit clustered at far side after the races, and that's a nice little pass into the end zone for the score. A break for the Russians. They bring it within 1 of the half.
Opening up a 2-point lead once more on the throw from Basukova to Vinogradova, who gets her 2nd goal of the game. Nice offense there, using the width of the field, getting it onto the break side and really attacking that small space in the sideline. And defenders for Italy caught on their heels a little bit. Russia reopen up the 2-point lead, 7-5 here.
You can see the separation on the undercut. A nice little turn there, as you say. Vinogradova, the number 15.
Just takes advantage of Vandelli, just losing body and head position a little bit, taking a look around, trying to work out where the disc is. And in that split second, Vinogradova notices that she's off balance and she can turn and attack that side. By the time Vandelli's really got round and flipped those hips to close the space, the throw's already gone and the goal's in. So first assist of the game for Olga Basukova, as we mentioned, a 2nd goal for Vinogradova.
And so the Italian O-line responding with Bonfante faking the pig around. Backhand huck. Ooh, good footwork from, I think that's Barazzi. Oh, and that's a lot of contact on Scazieri. Sofia there in the number 19 shirt. It's a call earlier in the play, but regardless, so there's a lot of contact into the back of Scazieri right in front of us here in the booth, as Tizik will come on to help the discussion on the earlier call.
Yeah, we mentioned already how Alisa Tizik is the spirit captain of this side, doing a very good job of breaking that stereotype of the stern Russian. Always plays with a smile on her face. Always helpful in these discussions. Very excited to see Tizik back out on the Eurostars Tour this summer.
Indeed, keep your eyes peeled for all of that action later on. That'll be happening in the latter weeks of August.
Not the only Russian as well. The only Russian on this side, but Dina Dumanskaya is returning, playing this weekend, and actually playing at the moment in the mixed bronze medal match, which you can see over on the fan seat stream from the stadium field.
Nice to see some of the Russian fans over there on the far side choosing to support this women's bronze medal.
Yeah, their allegiance is obviously split between the two, so not maybe going to be as big a sideline as it might otherwise be.
But credit to the Russian scene, though. They had a team in every semi-final. None of them managing to advance to tomorrow's games, but that means there'll be plenty of Russians at the party. As we see a foul upfield. Looks to be an offensive foul. A little bit of a push, maybe.
Yeah, just trying to work out exactly how much contact they're happy to have downfield.
Yeah, Mikhail over there, number 13, uncontested. Sorrenti, the number 5 for Italy, with the disc in her hands, one of the big handlers of this Italian side. Another call, pick upfield.
Yeah, players all cluttering around the same space to cut out from and just coming across each other a little bit, causing that pick. You see those arms out at right angles, elbows perpendicular.
Oh, and that's a big launch from Sorrenti, and what a grab! Scazzieri with the reception. That's beautiful stuff for Italy. They bring it back within 1, but the Russians charge ahead 7-6.
Yeah, Idine Scazzieri getting her second goal of the game to go along with an assist. The assist coming out of the hands, as you mentioned, of Francesca Sorrenti. They've done quite well on the deepers this game, the Italians. They've had a couple go awry, but when they collect, it's really, really nice to watch. Just get another look on the replay now. See Scazzieri go, and Sorrenti doesn't even question for a split second whether that's the right option. Instantly puts in when you've got a receiver. The quality of Scazzieri, it usually is.
And you have to say the throw did also execute nigh on perfectly. Big roll curve, sits it up into the space and just drops in front in the channel that the defender can't really get a play on.
The outside and backhand being very fruitful for both sides here, I'd say.
Oh yes, I'm really impressed with actually how much the Russians have attacked the break side using their throwing unit in the short field to just expansively move the disc across and hit those end zones.
We see a little shot there of the Russian huddle. See Coach Dima wearing that long sleeve jersey, giving instructions to his charges, obviously trying to propel them to a bronze medal. Not the medal they would have wanted to take home this weekend, but obviously it's always nice to bring home a bit of silverware or bronzeware, I guess. Even if it's not what you had, it's better than nothing, Hannah.
Indeed, the dirty gold, as we were constantly referring to at the European Beach Ultimate Championships. But a few months ago, we saw many of the faces, as we said, on the field. Italian women's side didn't do quite so well on the beach surface, but nice to see the Russians coming out in form.
Yeah, the Italians not sending their strongest strength side to that tournament. It's a busy summer of Ultimate. We've already had EUC, we've got EUC now. There's the under-24 championships taking place in a couple of weeks in Heidelberg. In Germany, there's EYUC later this year out in Wrocław, Poland. Obviously, you've got the European Championship Series as well. There's the European Masters Championships in October out in Spain. It's a long, long summer of Ultimate, and you've got to make decisions as to which tournaments you can go to for the sake of your body and for the sake of your wallet as well.
You know what I'm looking forward to, Benji?
Go on.
I hear exciting rumours that there's going to be a European Indoor Championships. One of the biggest challenges of that division was actually making consistent rules, because every single federation seems to play indoors ever so slightly differently. Some playing make it, take it, in terms of every time you score there is no stoppage. You can just make substitutions on the fly. But I myself am a big fan of the indoor game, standing at a fairly tall, just shy of 5'10", so that's my favourite surface to play on.
As a monster 5'4" man, indoors not necessarily my game, but it does give me an excuse to throw thumbers, so I'm good with that.
Oh, and she hangs it out on a string. Kochanova with the assist. What a beautiful score for the Russians.
Olga Romanova running it down in the back of the end zone. Russia are going to take an 8-6 lead into half. A nice clean hold there for the Russian offense there. O-line's been very good all game. They've only turned it over twice. The first time they were punished, sorry, they've only turned it over once, excuse me. My just a little bit muddled in my brain, and they were punished that 1 point, but it's so difficult to break a team when they're very rarely giving you the disc. Their airline's been near perfection.
And I have to say that final score of this first half was, to just steal your phrase, absolutely perfect. Perfection after a bobbled catch to start us off. Just sees the separation immediately. Look at this. Just launches it out, a straight, flat disc out of the paw of Kochanova. Hits the intended target, Mikhailova. Oh no, not Mikhailova, Romanova. Getting confused with my numbers there. So that's the half in favor of Russia. Italy currently trailing 2 points. They are 2 breaks down, having only gotten 1 back off the Russians. We'll take a short break to snaffle some of the lovely, these look a little bit like Percy pigs, German Percy pigs, Benji, don't you think?
I think so. I think they're veggie ones as well, so that means we can share them with all the crew. Mike is going to be very happy with that.
Indeed he will. Well, we'll enjoy some little confectionery treats here from the German women's side. We'll be right back, though, with the second half of this match. Welcome back to this hotly contested women's bronze medal match here on Field 2 in Győr, Hungary. We're finishing off the coverage on the rubber crumb for this entire championship, Benji. And what a display of top quality women's ultimate we have in front of us.
It's nice that what we kind of affectionately termed the fiery pitch of Mordor, due to the fact that it just it's been like, especially earlier in the week when it's up to high 30s, the rubber crumb really absorbs all the heat and radiates it back. You can't be barefoot on it because it just burns the soles of your feet. Mercifully, there's a bit of cloud cover for, I think, the first time all week. Things have cooled down a little bit. It's a very pleasant, almost balmy evening. And I don't think there's really anywhere I'd rather be than watching what's been a very entertaining first half of this bronze medal match.
We were discussing what words to use to describe the play thus far, and it's just been picturesque.
It's been a joy to watch. There's been great plays from both sides. It's tight, it's well-spirited. It's exactly what a bronze medal game should be. Both teams really trying to make sure they don't come home empty-handed.
Oh, and that's a spicy throw to Kochanova. A big hammer over the top. Nice to see them bringing out those plays for the fans, and that's going to be a big battle, but reeled in by Russia. They're coming out on offense in this second half, and they take a score very competently in that back corner.
Malikova catching the goal from Tizik down the far sideline. That hammer was an interesting look. It hung up for a little bit of time, and when you've got a player who's the quality of Olga Kochanova,
and also the size of Kochanova,
that does help. She is a supreme athlete and showed her supremacy there, coming down with that hammer. Then they played confidently after that. They didn't just stand and watch, they were ready so that when the disc was caught, they were in position to continue flowing the disc all the way down that far sideline. The still count never really rose, and eventually Tizik finds Malikova, and we're now at 9-6. Tizik has 2 goals and 2 assists all over the field at the moment for the Russians.
Just confirming that there with our wonderful scorekeeper who's been keeping me on my toes throughout this tournament. I believe he's actually a Russian native, currently living here in Hungary, playing for one of the big club sides, LOL. So the Italians on offense really need to get a point, sneak one past the Russian defense right now as Bonfante looks around, a little concerned, huge pressure there. Oh, that's great defense, but Chesky's gonna rip it out of the side of the end zone. And just piling on the pressure. What intensity there from Anastasia Kochanova.
And to see the replay again, the disc faded towards the sideline, and obviously the receiver in that position has to slow down a little bit because they've got to make sure that if they're going to make the catch, they've got to be in bounds, but no such boundaries or restrictions for the defender. And Vinogradova makes sure she wasn't going to give a possible chance for a toe-in or maybe even a greatest attempt, making sure she could swat it out of the sideline. And now a break chance for the Russians. With a break here, they'd go 4 points up, and this would be very difficult for the Italians to come back from.
Yeah, Russia really showing class here and form. Chesky with the big throw. She's had a bit of a changeable game thus far. We've seen some really amazing things out of her and some less amazing things.
The one thing that you know about Chesky is that when she makes a mistake, she is desperate and itching to make amends for it.
Oh, nearly friendly fire there as we see a layout bid from Litusheva. And then frantic hand movements, just lofts it up into the space. Sky ball for the Russians, popped out of the air by a big group.
Just looked desperately downfield. No one was really free and thought, if I'm going to get rid of it, you can see her beckon. Anastasia Kochanova couldn't get free and just had to put a trust ball into the air, and the Italians knocked it away.
Still fighting so hard though is Kochanova. We've been talking a lot about the other Kochanova on this team. Number 23 looks like the 21 shirt is hot to trot right now. She switches off to Sorrenti, puts on a big mark, but nothing can stop her from connecting with Scazzieri.
Scazzieri collecting a 3rd goal of the game. She is such an effective cutter downfield, and a lot of the time the Russians haven't really had an answer for that. So much of Italy's good offense has come through her hands in the end zone. I say through in terms of directing play through her, not through as in going through her hands and dropping catches. I don't think she's put a foot wrong all game. Beautiful assist from Francesca Sorrenti. That's her second of the game as well, getting a couple of stats to her name.
That's not a surprise. I believe both of those are assists. The big hand, we saw lots of play from her in that all-important quarter-final match on field 1 2 days ago. Actually, no, take it back. I'm getting ahead of myself here, Benji. I feel like we're calling the women's final due to the quality of the play here on the turf on field 2. And of course, that match was just yesterday. This tournament's slipping away from us so very fast.
It feels like only yesterday that we were watching that opening game between the host Hungarians and Austria in the packed stadium.
Indeed, it's been lovely to see the Hungarian, very young side take a couple of wins at this tournament. So they've been pulling double duty, doing lots of volunteering here. We've made some friends with some of the Hungarian players.
Yeah, we were initially staying at the same high school with the volunteers. They put in a hell of a lot of work here, trying to make the tournament the best they possibly can. Beautiful throw. He's going to go back on a pick.
I tell you what, he's doing a heck of a lot of work. Is that the number 14, Stukalina, with an incredible inside throw to expose Kochanova on this near side of the field.
Stukalina is still a very young player, only 20. Really impressed me when they got to the final of EUC in the under-20 division a couple of years ago out in Veenendaal.
Urbanova with the long wingspan fakes the backhand around. Italians doing a great job of shutting those down for so long, but eventually they sneak one past into the waiting hands of Tizik.
Tizik is just all over the field, just unstoppable. And there's a reason that she's got a reputation as such a strong player, and you're seeing it here on the field. It's that innate sense of timing that can be so difficult to teach, knowing how the disc is moving, what the offense wants to do. So as soon as that catch is made, look upfield, you've already created a bit of a separation. So the stall count never gets very high, making that cut early enough to create separation, but not so early that the space is closed and the defender's already in position.
You can see there the Russian unit faking the backhand and eventually just having a little pop pass, working between them just until they find the sleeping mark that they can expose on the near side. So Russians keep a hold of their lead and this game advancing to double digits now. Score is 10-7 to the players in white as they hunt down the dirty gold, the bronze medal at this European Championship.
In some ways, winning the bronze is better than winning the silver because it's always nice to finish on a win, and losing that final can be such heartbreak.
It's the reminder of the fact that you were so close, but not quite good enough for a win. And that's a lot of pressure there. Number 27 running that down. Basukova keeping the pressure on the Italian offense. Lovely inside from Shekina. Lovely backhand across. Oh, and that's beautiful break side offense once more from the Russians. Sensational scenes here. They take a break and extend 11-7.
The Russian D-line offense doesn't look like a D-line offense when you compare some of the other sides of this tournament, especially some of the other Russian sides. A lot of their D-line offense is, how should we say this tactfully? It's expansive. Some would say a little over-expansive.
Over-expansive how, Benji?
I mean, and this is me saying this, but they really like to put it deep. They've got a lot of athletes on the D-line and they back them to make big receptions, but the Russian women's side, they're more than happy just playing it around a little bit, and Basukova gets another assist on that throw to Karina Sviderskaya.
Oh, Sviderskaya. Oh my goodness, I've been looking forward to saying her name all game long. It's a shame that wasn't a lofty one, because obviously, you know.
I know exactly what you're thinking.
Sviderskaya. So yeah, there's a pun to be had somewhere in that name, but a timeout call. So we see our wonderful scorekeeper. I think that probably is that a selfie he's cheekily getting there with the women's team in the background.
I think it probably is.
Gonna get that one on the soch later. I wonder if he wants one with us at some point.
I wouldn't count on it.
Oh, he hasn't even asked. I feel so sad, so unwanted, Benji.
Don't worry, I still love you.
Well, that's enough for me, buddy. That's enough for me. Lots of love here for the crew, the Ulti TV crew, working so tirelessly. We've been complaining a little bit about being tired here in the booth, having to focus and, you know, sound vaguely like we're competent at our role, but they've been absolute stalwarts all week long here in the hot sun with smiles on their faces all the time, getting bitten, getting burnt, but doing it all for the love of this sport. And we're so grateful to them for all their hard work, and to these teams who, of course, have not just been working this week to bring us sensational ultimate, but also all season long. You forget sometimes about the preparation all of these teams have to put in to reach this level and give us these displays. Those evenings when they've had a tough day at work, they've had people yelling at them, maybe something, you know, personal issues going on, but they've gone and done that track session. They've gone and lifted those weights, especially, my goodness, the Russian women's side, they can flip it and lift.
Oh yeah, that's I've done a little bit of digging myself. I'll tell you about that a little bit later if you're fortunate.
Oh, well, we'll hope to be fortunate then, Benji, as the Italians get us back in play. Bonfante, centre of the field, that's her favourite position for this Italian side, but the distribution goes awry. Snaps it up, Anastasia Kochanova with the defensive play. Looking a little static upfield now, it's going to have to find Solimova for the reset, which she does. Directing traffic, the experienced player goes down. Oh my goodness, look how free she is. That's a sensational score for Russia, extending their lead to a full 5 points.
Just what an insane throw. That might be the best thing I've seen all week in terms of distribution with the disc. Beautiful throw. Receiver was wide open in space. Letusheva. But opening it up with just an unbelievable inside flick. Need to get another look at that on the replay so I can correctly attribute that throw. It is beautifully done.
Oh, and there you see the importance of having communication as to who is the deepest part of the stack. Just from the back, peels off, sneaks away into that deep space where such an experienced play there, releasing that disc, putting it out into time and space, and the defender knows they've been had.
Solimova is, like, she's small, but that means if you underestimate her, you're just going to pay for that. Often beats taller players in the air on defense. A formidable thrower, and we talked about how they're obviously phenomenal athletes. They can squat a lot in the gym. Anastasia Kochanova put probably more of the Russian men's side to shame with her lifting. Apparently she can squat the weight of 2 grown men.
Well, you always see the videos, Benji, of strong men, you know, with barbells and, you know, beautiful women attached to them. I'd love to see Kochanova with the, you know, just 2 grown men on her back, just squatting them like a champion that she is, as we see a big disc going up for Chesky. Oh, she makes the double bid, but it's not to be.
And she's staying down on the field here as well.
The hero of this Italian women's side.
It was good defensive pressure from Vinogradova, but Chesky tried to collect it on the second attempt, and I think she hit the ground relatively hard.
Yeah, this surface is so unforgiving. All around the tournament, we've seen plenty of players with artificial turf burns on their elbows and knees.
The one benefit, of course, is those turf burns is that they can leave scars, and I'm reliably informed that chicks dig scars.
And glory lasts forever. I believe that's the mantra of the Sublime Ultimate Club, the
Never heard of them.
University of Portsmouth.
Nah, it doesn't ring any bells.
My hometown, not the place where I studied.
No, you were at the University of Kent, weren't you?
Indeed, I was. I'm a massive Kent.
Was KTT back in the day? Kent touched this? I think they're now a little bit more sensible.
Oh no, it's boring.
Yes,
They were forced to change it by the Athletic Union. It's very upsetting. Far too serious for my liking. As we see some serious discs going up. What a shot there into the air. Oh my goodness. An immediate re-jump there from Vinogradova to keep the disc alive. Great reception.
Chesky went for the second bid against Vinogradova. This time it's Vinogradova going up for sloppy seconds.
Malikova on the disc. Nice inside. Oh my word. A little bit of contact there. Gonna have a quick chat, but that's a great score for Russia. They now lead another break to their name. Goodness gracious me. This is becoming a little bit, well, it's exciting plays, Benji. I don't honestly feel like the Italians are that far behind, but the presence of mind of the Russians right now, extending that lead, this is just, my goodness, what a display.
Beautiful throw. First of that inside backhand from Xenia Shekina to Babaeva, and then she continues that, I think. Simonova perhaps with the goal. Just beautiful, really utilizing that inside backhand to create a little bit of space, and then continuing, as you see here, that re-jump and catch, good focus, maintaining a concentration, Vinogradova. And then this throw hung up a bit, but not really a problem. Defender not close enough. See, gets the mark, moving towards that forehand side. Looks into the backfield, leads the throw to the break side beautifully into the path of the receiver. I think it's actually Letusha as the ball lands out of bounds. But just fantastic D-line offense from the Russians. And this is a little bit what we saw in the morning from Italy. They were close throughout the first half, but in the second half, the Swiss just had a little extra gear, some more left in the legs, perhaps. I wonder if the Italians are just a bit burnt out after the emotional and physical expenditure of that comeback win against Germany yesterday.
Well, they've certainly shown they are a force to be reckoned with. It's a shame to potentially see them go out with a whimper, not a bang, in this women's division as they churn towards this far side. High pressure throw, Bonfante underneath it, but so many Russian players. A little bit of contact there, but streaking defensive play.
There is going to be a foul called. There are few receivers under there. I think potentially the argument that Ilaria Bonfante had that disc in her control before it was knocked out.
Well, either way, caught up in a Russian sandwich.
Could you pass my hat and sunglasses, please?
As Benji tries to find some of his own personal shade. The sun is now very low, just escaped from behind the clouds, which is going to actually work in a negative fashion for this right-hand side end zone. Earlier today, we saw the wind swirling from the right to the left as we get another look at that run-through play from the Russian defense. But now, as the sun starts to hang low, scoring on high passes into the right-hand side end zone is, of course, going to be extremely difficult as you try and read the disc in the sun.
I was going to say, this is part of the reason why the last game rounds have generally begun 45 minutes earlier, because at this point we'd be wrapped up and this sun at this height wouldn't be such a problem. But obviously with a bumper day, everyone needs to get their games finished in preparation so everyone could have a relax and properly enjoy finals day tomorrow.
And we are so excited to bring you the coverage. Going to be in the stadium all day long, the pinnacle of this championship, as we see another great play from Valentina Simonova.
The Russian defense now has stepped it up a little bit, and the Italians don't have an answer for this at the moment. And if they can't find an answer soon, they're going to go down in this game, as that disc is too far for Vinogradova.
Yeah, that's Stukalina banging it deep, getting a lot of the mark on the way through. Great block from Sofia Scazieri. So Italy maintain their opportunity to bring the score back +1 for themselves. They currently trail by a monster 6 points. We hear all the Italian men appear to have arrived in the grandstand here as the disc will sail immediately out of bounds, trying to connect with Scazzieri in the deep field.
Yeah, that throw from Bonfante, certainly not her best work, and I'm sure if you asked her, she'd definitely want that back. Stukalina is going to walk the disc down this near sideline, wearing a little support on that left ankle, just going to give her a little bit of stability. One thing that I think everyone in the ultimate community knows about ultimate players is that they have a tendency to play through a little bit of niggles. They're so tough to stop players from playing in these games. They always want to have the disc in their hands.
Indeed, well, Stukalina, one of the key throwers of this Russian women's side. Oh, and that's beautiful, cutting back and forth. A little bit of contact with her teammate, though. Friendly fire. So the foul is going to have to be retracted.
Yeah, unfortunate for Babayeva. The throw just led her a little bit too much, and she clashed with Simonova, stripped herself on the head of her teammate, but the main thing is that both players are okay. There's a bid here available. Couldn't quite get the hands around it, could Sisana.
And once again, we see Babayeva putting it out to space, but it's going to be a little bit too far. You see Vinogradova not going to turf to keep that one alive.
The Russians are only turned it over the once in this half up until this point, and they've lost their shape and lost their form a little bit now. Maybe just tiring a little bit at the end of a long week.
And the Italian men's side getting their female compatriots fired up from the grandstand.
And their Russian counterparts doing the same as well.
Oh, indeed, I do now spot a few more Russian shirts. So we see Bonfante on the disc. Looks for Sorrenti. He's going to rip it deep. That's a sitter and a hanger. Oh, and look at that reception. Is it another Scazzieri catch?
I think it is, but it's not a Scazzieri we've seen before. First one on the board for Sofia Scazzieri in the number 19 jersey, wearing that little support on her right elbow.
Nice to see that one, although it sat and therefore was a bit more of a battle with the defense. It's great to see her out in front, because it meant that she didn't fall foul of what we discussed earlier, this idea of having to read the disc. If she was trailing that one, it would have been perhaps lost in the sun. And
in some ways, if you're going in that end zone, you're looking behind you, so it's not so bad. If you're going into the left-hand end zone, you're looking behind you, that's when you're looking right into the sun, especially over the right-hand shoulder. Speaking of earlier, we mentioned our scorekeeper getting a selfie with the Russian women's team in the background. He's now got a selfie with us in the background. So I think we can say we've officially made it, Hannah.
He does love us, Benji.
As if commentating on a bronze medal match at a European Championship isn't having made it already.
Oh, no, it definitely is. We've made it on literally every level, Benji. We've arrived.
Excellent. It's taken me a while, but I'm glad I'm finally here.
Well, good. So, Russian women now coming out on offense for the first time in a wee while. They took 3 breaks, 4 unanswered points. Italy finally punching one past them. These two teams having, I believe, met earlier in the tournament, but Italy were the only team until the loss in semis to have taken, not had the Russians take them to a full 15, as that is an absolute diamond of a throw. Oh my goodness, be still my beating heart. What a play.
A juicy ripe peach of a throw. Just absolutely delicious, right into the path of the receiver, the number 94, Anastasia Malikova. Beautiful throw, and now the Russians 1 point away from taking home that well-earned bronze medal.
Indeed, match point opportunity for the players in the white shirts. And was that diamond thrown by Tizik, perhaps?
Well, we'll see it again on the replay. Kart comes underneath, and you see just lean into that forehand. Beautiful throw, so much touch, so much torque. It just sits there like an absolute present, and Malikova's like a kid on Christmas Day unwrapping that one. Beautiful, beautiful execution.
So fans in the stands trying to get the Italians teed up to keep this one a little bit further. Currently 78 minutes have expired, so this one will unlikely become a delight to the full 100 minutes available to these teams.
I mean, if we did get to the full 100 minutes, it would require a stonking comeback from the Italians, but I mean, we've seen it before, Hannah.
Oh, we certainly have, Benji. I like that call. I like that, you know, just holding the carrot in front of the Italians as the stands get big in support of the teams here. So Skazieri, oh, she throws into traffic. In comes Barsukova. Barsukova with the jazzy socks that we've already given a credit to. She finds Gochanova.
It's going to be a stall-out called on this near sideline, though. Eventually, players get the attention. I don't know whether this is going to stand or not. See Sorrenti engaged in discussion with Barsukova.
Yeah, Barsukova, one of the players with good enough English skills that she's not going to have to engage the translation services of Elisa Tizik.
That's the translator I'd hire.
I wonder if she does that on the side, you know, maybe that's her day job, Benji, because it's certainly getting lots of reps of it here in the women's division. Contested stall out, though, will be the decision on the field. Disc will remain in the hands of number 27, Olga Barsukova.
I imagine this swing will go to Kochenova on the restart.
She's already got yards, and there you go, just as you called it, Benji. The Russians looking to close this one out. Low disc. The bid comes from the young Russian player, but doesn't connect, and that's an absolute beauty of a put. It's going to be taken away by Russia.
Well defended. If well defended does it justice. Expertly defended by Kristina Mikhailova, swatting it out of the far sideline, just got underneath it, went up and attacked it nice and early, and using that full reach, the full wingspan to knock that one away.
And in the final moments of this women's match, will we get one more, squeeze a little juice out of this bronze medal battle between Italy and Russia? This second half, such a different story from the first. Nice play amongst the handlers. Penetrates the inside space to a wide open Zavarina. Oh, and just flobbles out of the hand. Looks like a strip call.
Certainly a foul at the very least. Beatrice is maybe just getting a little bit too personal on the mark, we'll say.
Yeah, need to buy Evgenia a drink maybe first before getting that level of intimacy on the mark.
Well, with the party later tonight, we'll see what happens.
Oh, that's great presence of mind to reel that one in from Kochenova. Oh, and look how much the Italians are trying to shut down that around break, Benji. Just tumbling down to the crumb. And in the high stall situation, they're calling the timeout there to go and have a chat and refocus. I think that's a wise call.
Yeah, each team with 2 timeouts to use, a half, and making use of that. Now, actually, I think I spy on the far sideline. We talked about how a lot of these Russian players came up in through the youth divisions. Mentioned EUC 2017, and some of the Russians did. They bought tournament director Ted Boyter a shirt, so he's wearing a Russian shirt on the sideline in support. We see one of the biplanes that's been flying over the city of Djur, spraying some insect repellent around, trying to prevent some of the extreme mosquito activity.
Wait, is that what it's actually doing, Benji?
I mean, apparently not for Rob, but theoretically that's what it's doing.
Well, we did see on our WhatsApp chat ahead of this tournament, as we were preparing ourselves to take to the fields here in Djur. Yeah, it was a bit alarming to see the extreme mosquito activity, which I myself am a bit like Rob. I'm like catnip for mosquitoes. They seem to absolutely adore me. I think it's because I'm, as a pink complexioned, you know, fair-skinned individuals, me and my buddy Rob, we're just, yeah, they just love us. Can we blame them, though? We're very, very sweet individuals.
I mentioned Ted from the EUF board and tournament director of EUC a couple of years ago wearing that Russian jersey. Cameraman Felix getting a good shot of him there on the sideline, was engaged in a little bit of conversation with Ned Garvey, who's reporting on the men's division here for UltiWorld. And obviously, for those of you who don't know Ned, he commentated on one of the men's semi-finals earlier this morning. He lives in Latvia now, but speaks fluent Russian, knows a lot of the Russian players, been very good helping us with some juicy tidbits and pronunciation as well.
Well, he said it was just business level, competent business level Russian, but this is extremely business-like performance from the Russian women's team as we see them channeling towards that far end zone to close this one out. Oh, and that's a launch into the center of the field. She doesn't even know she's in. What an inside put from Sviderskaya to finish off what has been a scintillating display of women's ultimate in this bronze medal match.
It was tight in the first half. Russia just about pulling in front of the Italians, but in the second half, they showed so much quality, put the Italians to the sword, and commiserations to the Italians going home fourth. But congratulations to Russia, bringing home a second bronze medal to add to the men's they won earlier today.
And you could see there, just at the bottom of your shot, as we watch the highlight reel, the coach, Dima Podolsky, walking onto the field with Babayeva, having a chat, already probably planning their next move here. The devastation in that second half. The Russians going on a 4-point unanswered roll. Quality stuff. It's just such a shame that we can't have every single team here in the top bracket displaying their best tomorrow on the stage, the pinnacle of this European Championship. But that will wrap us up for today and wrap us up for all the coverage here on Field 2. It's been a delight to bring you this hot action from the Rubber Crumb turf. I've been Hannah Pendlebury for Benji Reeves. We will see you tomorrow.
Multi.tv.